Hello, peeps. Welcome to another Wayward Wednesday. Today is September 15th, is the Dane's birthday, and I can't think of any better way for me to honor her than to do another episode of Hashtag It Forward. See you after the intro. Hey, so I give Rachel from the Shades of Orange full credit for this idea. She first gave, well, I took it as giving me, but she gave people the challenge of continuing her video of recommending horror books to booktubers. She totally inspired me to do the Hashtag It Forward series. I did the Horror It Forward, and I can link the video here in case you haven't watched it. And today I'll be recommending some of my favorite Agatha Christie books to booktubers. And I'm calling this episode Agatha It Forward. This is in no particular order. The first booktuber I'm recommending in Agatha Christie book 4 is Staijah from the Reader's Seat. And as always, all the channels will be in the cards and linked down below. So go ahead, show them a lot of love. But I am recommending to Staijah Endless Night. This is beautiful, poetic, and it's also one of the main romantic novels Agatha Christie has written. Staijah loves romance, and there's a lot of good tropes in here, and as well as a good mystery. First of all of these books I recommend to anyone. They are all superb. I really think she would like this. This is a book loosely based on the real legend of the Gypsy's Acre. We follow Michael. He is a man now, but he has always dreamed of a life bigger than he was born into. He wants nothing more than to marry the girl of his dreams and build his dream house in the middle of the forest of Gypsy's Acre. He meets Ellie. She's the woman he's been looking for, and his life seems to going on the path that he wanted. But as they are set to start building the house, the locals warn him that there is no luck for them as meddles with Gypsy's Acre. But Michael doesn't really care. He's obsessed. The question here is his obsession going to cost him his happy ever after? Next, I have a book I'm recommending to KJ from Bookish KJ. I really love her, especially on Twitter. She reads a lot of the same books as I do. So for her, I am recommending A Murder is Announced. This is a Miss Marple book. And it happens to be one of my favorite Marple books. It is really fun. It is a very well plotted book. I love the puzzle in here, and I think she's going to appreciate it as well. In it, we have Chipping Leghorn. This almost dormant town. Miss Marple is staying nearby, so mind you, she has access to the Gazette. Why are you mentioning the Gazette? Well, this is a town in which everybody knows each other and nothing ever happens. But this one day, when everybody receives the daily local Gazette, there's an ad. And the ad says, a murder is announced and will take place on Friday, October 29th at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. This is quite interesting and mysterious, and everybody was like, oh my god, this is a practical joke, what's going on? And you know who else thinks this is a joke? Letitia, the owner of Little Paddocks, because she didn't post the advertisement. She has no idea this is what's going on, but she knows that nothing ever happens in the village, so of course the people will race through and come to her house. So she scrambles last minute to put a party together so she can welcome her guests and not ruin her hostess' reputation. As she anticipated, people show up, and then when everything is dark, the lights just go off You hear this shot. A few minutes later, the light comes on and someone is dead on the floor. A stranger is someone that was not there when the lights went off. They don't know what's going on, but Miss Marple is nearby. She will help them figure it out. And at this point, rightfully so, Letitia starts to fear for her life because she imagines whether or not she's being targeted. This doesn't seem like a harmless practical joke anymore. However, we can always count on Marple, so there she goes. Our delicious old lady is off to save the day. Next, I have a book that I'm recommending to Lisa for Pink Paradox Reads. It is Spider's Web. This was originally a play that Agatha Christie wrote, and after her death, years after her death, Charles Osborne novelized that play. So it is her idea, her words, but he's the one that just changed the format from a play to a book, and I'm ever glad he did. This has, like, again, one of my favorite female characters. We have Clarissa. She is this delightful, funny, witty, lively woman who's married to this very stern diplomat. In her life, sometimes gets really boring, so she likes to play this supposed game. She likes to give herself impossible situations and figure out what she would do if she was faced with that. One of the games she plays is, suppose I found a body in my library, what would I do? Well, she's soon about to find out, because on this one night where she has some guests over but her husband leaves to pick up this very, very important politician and bring back to the house, she finds a dead body. And this is almost like a comedy, but it's entirely plotted, and we will find Clarissa forcing her guests to help her hide the body, lie to the police saying that nobody died in the house, and at the same time figure out who the victim is, who killed him, and why. It is so funny, witty, fast-paced. And if Lisa hasn't read this, I think she might really appreciate it for the cheekiness and humor. It is unapologetic British. Next, I'm recommending a book to booktuber I recently discovered and love, Lauren from Lauren Rethgens. She, on one of her recent videos, she mentioned that The Second Life of Ava Rivers is one of her favorite ever books. This book is by no means the same as that, but as she was describing the book, I got the same vibes. So I think if she reads Agatha Christie, she'll really like Five Little Pigs. Possibly the most underrated book Agatha Christie has ever written. It is beautiful. You have character studies. It is poetic. It is reads like a literary book. It is amazing, and it's fresh and original at the time, because in it we have convicted murderess Caroline Frail. Her husband dies during a weekend party where there were 5 other guests. Her sister, 2 friends, and a model her husband was painting. He's a painter. She has a daughter, Carla, and Carla is really young at the time, so she doesn't understand anything that is going on. The police closes in on Caroline, arrests her, convicts her, and not once did she claim her innocence. She accepted her fate with grace. However, she had written a letter to her daughter, and 16 years later, as requested, her daughter receives this letter. She is now an adult, engaged to be married, and on the letter, Caroline tells Carla she is innocent. Caroline doesn't know what to believe, because either way, her mom is lying. Is her mom lying to her now? Or did her mom lie to the police all those years ago and took the blame for a crime she did not commit? And why did she do that? There's too many questions. And Carla goes to Poirot, go for the best, and ask him if he can figure out a crime that happened 16 years in the past. So this is a murder in retrospect book and relies mainly on the interviews Poirot has with those 5 suspects, the 5 little pigs, and he uses psychology to put each account together and come up with the truth. Is he able to do it? Well, yes, because it's Poirot. There's no spoiler here. He always solves the case. But the way in which he does is really amazing. This book is beautiful, and I think Lauren might really like it. I can never not recommend a book to Rachel. It is, after all, I think you can always count on me recommending a book to her in whatever I do with my series, because she is the series origin story. So to Rachel, I recommend The Hound of Death. Hears me out, okay? I know that it's really hard to pick an Agatha Christie book for her, but this is the closest Agatha has ever gotten to horror. And I know it's short stories and it's not her favorite, so I thought about that too. I'm recommending this book in case she wants to read all 12 stories, because they're all horror surrounding about unexplained phenomena. Everything has a foot in the paranormal. For example, there's a dog-shaped gunpowder mark, an omen from the other side, a haunted house, a chilling seance, and elderly ladies hold over a young man, and a mysterious SOS. So these are all eerie short stories. But more specifically, if she doesn't want to read the book, I picked this because of one particular story, and it's The Fourth Man. In The Fourth Man, we have 4 men that, are together in this carriage in a train journey. And pure boredom, you sit with 3 strangers, you talk, right? Otherwise it's going to be really awkward. So they start talking. And the conversation goes many places, and it lands on a hypothetical question. Do people believe that more than one soul can inhabit a body? To this, one of the men in the carriage, Dr. Clark, shares the story that he came across of a French girl called Felicity Beau. It's a case that has intrigued many people, and they have a priest, they have a lawyer, they have a man who's sleeping, and they have a doctor, and they decide to use their expertise to break down the case and see if it's a case of possession or not. The 4th man wakes up, and he says that he has first-hand knowledge of the case and shares his opinion as well. It is like a case that you don't know if it's possession or not, but it's very interesting. And I think of everything Agatha Christie has written. This book, but specifically this story, is one that Rachel will enjoy. Next, I have someone that I'll probably always recommend book to, only because I love the challenge. I mean, she's so hard to recommend books to, but she's amazing. I trust her opinion, and I can never gush enough about Nakia from Nakia's Hideaway. So here's my another probably failed attempt to you, girl. She's an actress, and I'm pretty sure she's a really good one at that. But anyway, as she's an actress and someone who's mindful of her time and mind space, I think that she will enjoy The Mousetrap. And this is a book in which it has the mousetrap and other plays. So there's other plays in this book. They are amazing, including Witness for the Prosecution, but more specifically The Mousetrap. It is the longest running play ever. I don't know how the record is being kept because of, but it's still playing at the West End of London. And Nakia, if you like this book and when things go back to normal, I'll love if we could go watch this play together in London one day. But basically we have, again, this isolated setting. This newlywed couple, Jamaicans, decide to turn that state into almost bed and breakfast. So they have some guests, and they are all trapped because of a heavy snowfall. Little do they know that the town's serial killer is ready to haunt them and attack on them, and also make sure they don't leave the house that night. And everything is based off very cleverly of the nursery rhyme, Three Blind Mice. So I have the play, and I chose the play for her because I love the other plays in here are really, really good as well. So if she's getting this book and she enjoys this, she might try the other ones. But if she does not want to read the play because it's not for everyone, it can be hard to get into, she can read Three Blind Mice and Other Stories, or just a story, which is also here, and it has been novelized. So either way, The Mousetrap or Three Blind Mice, I'm recommending that to you, Nakia. Next, I continue to have two people that I think will always be included in my things because I adore them. I have the beautiful Siobhan from Ball Books, and to her, I'm recommending A Pocket Full of Rye, which is one of my favorite marbles. By the way, all of the books here today are some of my favorite Agatha Christie books. I wouldn't do you or her dirty on this beautiful day. So A Pocket Full of Rye, I chose to her for a few different reasons. First of all, I love it, duh. Second of all, it's really clever. I really enjoy her. I recommended a whole book, and now I think it's time for her to get to know Marple. But also, she's a writer, and she is in the process of writing a fairy tale. I know it's not quite the same, but this is another one of the books that Agatha based off nursery rhymes. She did that like so well with many books. I think this is one of the 3 books that I think she did the best at. So, of course, And Then There Were None and Three Blind Mice, The Mousetrap. In A Pocket Full of Rye, she uses the Sing a Song of Sixpence as inspiration for her murders. And let me tell you, the murders get pretty gruesome. Everyone that says Agatha Christie is a scholarly writer never read her. It's beautiful, poetic. It might be innocent, but when you think about the murders... Okay, so in this one, we have Rex Fortescue. He dies suddenly. The police comes in because, it's a sudden death and he died at his work. But they start thinking things are a bit suspicious when they find in his pocket a package full of rye. And then the suspicions gets worse when someone related to him dies too. And the police is starting to think, am I getting to a serial killer here? But then, the killer don't know what they were doing. Because in the same house lives one of Marple's former mates. She used to train girls so they could be employed. And this is one that she always was very fond of. And, the killer kills her. And Marple is freaking livid. She goes in there and she doesn't even care. She inserts herself in the investigation. She makes sure that the cops arrest this wicked killer. It's one of Marple at her darkest and best, and is eerie. The house that is described in this book has become my dream house. Whenever I think, the way I imagine this house is exactly if I had money, how I would build my own house. And there's many things I love about this book, and I hope Siobhan does too. Next, I have Rylanne from Escape Through Novels. I also love her channel, and we have similar tastes as well. And for her, I will recommend The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is, in my opinion, one of the best twists ever written. Agatha really did reinvent the wheel with this one. She went places no authors would have even thought of going before, and it is amazing. There's a few books that I think everybody should read, and this is one of them. And I say this because it is one of the most ingenious twists, and if you get into Agatha Christie, you want to get to this one before people ruin it for you, because it's going to ruin the whole experience. In The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, we find Poirot sick and tired of investigating crime. He made enough money. So what does he do? He thinks he'll be happy by moving to a small village and growing marrows. Okay, come on. Have you ever seen Poho? No. No, honey, it's not gonna work, but don't tell him that, because he'll soon find out. Things are peaceful. Then this lady dies of a sleeping pill overdose. Looks like suicide. Weird. 24 hours after that, her fiance is murdered. Even weirder. So, of course, Poho, can't ignore it, and he's gonna figure out what's going on in the peaceful village he now calls home. Next, I'm taking a leap of faith here and recommending a book to a booktuber I recently found. I am in love with his channel. He's amazing. He's funny. I can't wait to, have the time to binge on all of his videos. There is, honestly, if you don't follow Mique from Mique's book club, go now. I just love the way he does reviews. He's pretty smart. Sometimes the way that he analyzes books is it blows my mind. I'm in awe of him. And I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but I tried to watch a couple of your older videos. I didn't see in any videos where you pronounce your name, so I'm going with Mique. But if it's not right, I apologize. But I will put it out there and bow to the bookworm Twink Supreme. That's a name enough. That one I got right. But one of my favorite series he does on his channel is his drunk reviews. I've only watched one so far, but I saved all of the other ones for my watch later. It is hilarious. And because of that, Twink Supreme, what I'm recommending to you is Death on the Nile. Hope you haven't read it. I don't know if you've read Agatha Christie or if it's your beach or anything, but first of all, this is an amazing book. It's a closed circle book. And the reason why I'm recommending it to you is because all of the characters are almost caricatures. They are exaggerated. They are comical. They are funny, hilarious. The murder is very interesting as well. We find this wealthy, newlywed. We follow this group of people who are on, a cruise on the Nile. And on their longest journey without touching land, one of the, guests, passengers, whatever, dies. Not only dies, she is murdered. She's kind of like an unlikable character, Lynette, newlywed, that apparently has some enemies on the boat. It's seemingly an impossible crime, but what the killer didn't know is that Poho was going to be on the cruise, and the manager of the boat wants to keep their reputation, so he asks Poho to help and have the case solved and wrapped with a boat to be given to the police once they get to land next. I cannot wait to see your drunk review of these clusterfuck of characters, your take on it. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. I just want you to drunk review this book if you ever have a chance. I think if there's anyone that can do justice to what Agatha did on this book, but also highlight the comic side that I find, the brilliantness and the comic side, it would be you. So you don't know who I am, but if you watch this video, Twink Supreme, please read Death on the Nile. Next, I have two cheats, right? Because this is Agatha Christie and she's my favorite author. I think I can do. I have two more book recommendations, but they are not for booktubers. This first one is a general one. It's one of, again, Poho, I love him, but whatever. It is one of Agatha's books that I think it should be talked about more. And it's also a book that has emotional connection to me because I'm a really big fan of David Suchet's Agatha Christie's Poho. The last days of my pregnancy, I started binging on the show. And the morning my son was born, I had a feeling he was going to be born that way. And the episode that was next on the list was The Hollow. So I was watching this as I went into labor. So I'll ever have this connection to it now. But needless to say, it is a brilliant book, and I'm recommending to everyone who hasn't read it. It is one of the most underrated Agatha Christie books. It is character heavy and, in my humble opinion, quite brilliant. In it, we follow the hilarious Lady Agatha. She is this woman that loves having people over. She's the ultimate hostess. And this weekend, her house is full. She has a lot of her favorite people for the weekend. She hears that the only Hercule Poirot is staying on the house next door. So she invites him over for dinner. When Poirot comes to her house, he sees this man lying on a pool of his own blood, and this woman, his wife, holding the gun and looking like a deer in headlights, and other people coming together at the scene at the same time. He starts laughing because, I mean, well done, Lady Agatha. That was a beautiful tableau that you set up for my entertainment. But then when he looks again at the people, everybody is kind of shocked, and it seems like the guy is really dead. Did his wife kill him? What's going on? And we go from here as Poirot investigates that crime. And last for this video, but not least, I have a book that I want to recommend to one of my subscribers, AC. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for always commenting on my videos. I look forward to reading them every time, and I'm really, really thankful you're here. So for you, I want to recommend After the Funeral. Again, I'm sick and tired of saying this, but it is true. Another one of my Agatha's favorite books, and again, I think it's really underrated. It is another Poirot book. We have this patriarch Richard. He dies suddenly, and then his whole family, siblings, nephews, nieces, he is not married, and he doesn't have any children, but they're all invited to the manor for the reading of the will. Including in the people that were summoned for the will reading is his sister, Cora, who the family hasn't seen in over 20 years when she was basically kicked off the family. She is this very colorful character that has always been a little aloof, and she has this reputation for always saying either what everybody is thinking, but they don't have the courage to, or the obvious things, but she always says the most awkward things, and that's her reputation. The will reading is no different. In it, she says, and I quote, "It's been hushed up very nicely, hasn't it? But he was murdered, wasn't he?" So she put it out there that she suspects that the old man was actually killed. Everybody goes like, but the harm has been done. Of course, they brush it off. It's just another Cora thing. However, not long after that day, she's found brutally murdered in her cottage. So now what she said starts to ring quite true. And in order to have this solved, the lawyer asked Poirot to help with the case. And this is After the Funeral. It has always been one of my top 10 books. Every time we read the list, the order or the list changes slightly, but this one I will always hold near. I loved it. So many things about it. So I recommend it to you, AC. And that's what I had it from my Agatha Forward. I hope you enjoy being here with me. If you read the books I recommended to you, please let me know. And if you want to consider making a similar video on its own, please tag me. I would love to see what books you recommend to me. Spoiler alert, if you're doing it on Agatha, I read all of her books multiple times, but I'm always open to reading them again. And that's it, guys. I'm really happy to continue on with this series. And until next time, feed the hummingbird. See you Friday.